talked a little bit this morning about the importance of selecting the right brand for the right market. Having as many brands as you have, you can imagine there's some benefit to that because you can get very specific with guests and their needs. But does it complicate things as well? I mean, I can imagine it's quite a process to like say, okay, these are the brands we have. Which one is specifically right for this market,
Sure.
for this?
No, you're right.
Location?
It's more complicated, but that's where the opportunity is. I think, I come back to what I just said earlier when I was on stage. Follow the customer, and think about carefully what the customer is looking for, and if the customer is looking for a differentiated experience, a focused experience, then that's what you've got to give them. Because if you try and have brands that are catch-all, at some point in time they will lose their value. Because you're commoditized. So we're trying to go the other way. It's a more difficult path because you have more brands, there's more training, people need to understand the brands a lot better. It's easier to understand 10 than 38, 39 brands. So yes, it's a more difficult path, but we believe in the long term, this is the right path.
When can we expect to see brands 40 through 45?
Look, I mean, we have a large brand portfolio. We've been, despite all the flurry of activity, there's been a method to the madness. We have carefully constructed a portfolio that we believe spans across market segments, spans across new areas for us like luxury, lifestyle, leisure, tackling the millennials, tackling the all-inclusive market. So we've looked at where the growth areas are. We looked at what we want to be as a globally diversified hotel company and filled in carefully the boxes. We're largely there. We will continue to look for new brand opportunities where we think it fits our portfolio. We're not out there to buy for the sake of buying. That's never been the case. It has to be financially accretive for our shareholders, so it's got to be a good deal, and it's got to make strategic sense, because we have invested in brands or bought businesses either to enhance our leadership position in a region, whether it's BHG or whether it's Aton, or it's a strategic investment to enter a new segment like Raffles and Fairmont in the luxury segment, SPE in the lifestyle segment. So there's always a focus on and the thesis behind the investment. But almost all the investment that we've made in brands is with the idea to grow them organically over a long period of time. So most of what we've done, so Raffles, Fairmont, Movenpick, SPE, these are all brands that we've invested in that we intend to grow to scale globally over a period of time. So that's at the core of the M&A strategy.
And that's certainly enough to keep you busy for quite a long time.
I hope so. I hope so. My boss is a pretty demanding guy, so he keeps me up at night.
You talk about finding a fit. I mean, obviously, an acquisition that you make, you want to make sure that it fills a need, that it fills a gap.
Yeah.
How can you have a gap at this point? Is there a gap? What is the gap if there is one?
I think honestly there are some gaps, believe it or not, but gaps emerge very quickly because the market changes, the customer changes. We're in a very dynamic business. Mm-hmm. And the customer preferences are changing, every few months, every year, every 2 years. So you start to identify segments and niches that perhaps weren't visible a year or two ago. So, like I said, we're largely there, but we still think there's more room to go in the lifestyle business. There's a bit more room in the luxury business, because both of these businesses are very segmented and very specific. So again, if we find the right product that appeals to a certain market, or in fact in a geography, I'll give you an example. 21C is a brand that we bought in North America. It's a great brand. It's based on modern art. They're art museums together with hotels. Now, that is a great product for the North American market. We are going to grow that brand aggressively across North America over the next few years, and perhaps later on in the rest of the world. But right now, the focus for that brand is very much North America. But the American market is very sophisticated, and if we find a similar niche in the mid-scale segment or in the economy segment with a unique product concept that we think appeals to that market, we would look at that. Mm-hmm. But it has It has to have a real purpose, the brand has to have a real promise, and it has to have growth potential. Without long-term growth potential, we typically don't invest in any brands.